Hello everyone, this is Plankera, and welcome to my universe. Today, we're going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. So, last time, I finished the bangs and kind of how they connect to over here, and said I was starting to go for the first of the side bangs, or I guess the side bang over here. I had already done a little bit over there, so I'm going to continue doing that now. As when I go from the center to over here, I noticed that this little spot right here seems to kind of really, grow upwards strangely. And I don't think it looks very good, so that'll be where I start. I think that's this area is a pretty good landmark to looking into everything else. So I will start with that. Then go from there. I think that the next part is just going to be getting this little ridge line right through there. And I definitely want to line that up with the center here, because I'm not entirely convinced that it's correct on the top. Yeah, you can kind of see that looks like it's ballooning up a little bit there. So that tells me that there might be something a little bit wrong in the top head turn. And I really want to be very careful of that. So I'll be lining it up here. Hello again, Luminance. How are you doing today? Okay. Lost the layer for a second there. There's just too many layers of hair here. Sorry, been having issues with my throat lately, but I think I got the problem out of there, so yeah, and hopefully resume talking there. Okay. Alas. It's alright. It's good to see you whenever you can make it by. So, is it a good busy at least? Good busy being that you're just doing a bunch of stuff that you really enjoy doing, as opposed to the bad busy where you just suddenly have a ton of obligations that you really wish you didn't. Because personally, I do like being on the busier end of things myself. When things get a little bit too quiet, I don't know, I tend to get a little bit sad. I just have, zero chill as a person, so I don't like it when things are too calm. Alright. I think the angle on the hair up there is starting to line up correctly. Let me just open up the side a little bit here. Yeah, I mean, I figured that it'd be something with school. That tends to be a large part of a student's life. Yeah. It's alright, I believe in you. Good luck, friend. Hope it all works out. Alright, I think I'm actually gonna hide the hair back here. Yeah. Just so I can kind of see the edge of this strand a little bit better. The highlights there were starting to get caught up in some lighter spots of that other spot, so we're gonna have a funny bald spot for a while. At least until I figure out how the outer part of this hair should look. Ah, yes. Good luck! Be sure to take as much time as you feel like you need to prepare. It's always good to get started on that early. No. I finished the upper left turn. So the one, up here. The hair over here is finished now. So now I'm doing the upper right one, and then I still have to do the lower left and the lower right. And most of the work that goes into those turns is the hair, just because she has so much hair, and it's very, very detailed. There's a lot going on in it, so there's a lot I need to adjust here and there. I was just hiding that one layer so this way I could see the outside a little bit better. Oh, and then of course once I finish the head turns, that's when it's time to add hair physics. So there will be more hair after that. But it's okay, hair physics are fun. Because that's when you basically make it so this way or I can show it with my model. Like when I move my hair around, you can kind of see that my hair gets all flowy. And it, yes. So that's where you make it all, that's basically where things start looking really cool. When you start adding in the physics. So I'm very, very excited for that. I can't wait. Sometimes it's hard to be patient and finishing up some of this. Strictly speaking, there's no reason that I couldn't do some of it now, but, I like having the hair basically in place before I do the hair physics. Just because then I can swing the head around with reckless abandon and watch it just flow everywhere, and it's a good time. I get very excited. Okay. But first, I need to get it all in place. And I might be using hair physics as a way to bribe myself into finishing the hair anyway, so... Thank you. I am too. I'm really happy with how it's all coming out here. Just certain things I think are making this one in particular look pretty good. Better than what I've been doing in the past. I have learned many things. So I'm able to make things look even nicer than I was before. Trial and error, mostly. Okay. So I'd say trial and error is the biggest one. I learned about the existence of this program from just seeing animated portraits in games more often, and I was like, okay, so most of the time they use this program, or they use Live2D. They use Live2D to make these things. And so I started looking into Live2D. It's a fairly expensive subscription software, so I didn't want to use it. So I looked for alternatives, and I found this one. most of the basics that I learned was still from looking at Live2D tutorials. And then the very, very basics of Inochi2D specifically. I saw a video from someone, what was their name? I believe it was Dragonator and then some numbers afterward. So I used their tutorial to kind of help me figure out the very, very basics of this program specifically, and I looked at Live2D tutorials to kind of figure out some of the details on, or like some of the big picture ideas on rigging specifically, and then kind of translated those ideas into this program. And it just took me, I don't know, messing around with it for a little while. I just put together some quick things for a friend. And that was fun. And so that's just kind of how I picked it up. And then I just put together my own model. And that's where I really started making sure that I was, I don't know, doing everything a little bit better than before. Before I was just kind of messing around. But this one I actually took a lot of care into making it look good, so it took like, I don't know, probably like 9 months to finish. I don't think this one will take me, the Shalom model I don't think will take me that long. Just because, well, for one, I'm not planning on doing a lot of lower body movement. But for two, I just know a lot more now, so I didn't have to flail around and redo things a lot, like I did with my personal model here. So, thank you. Yep, a lot of it is, I don't know. There's not really a magic way to learn things. You just gotta do it, really. It's like I could have spent a bunch of time preparing if I wanted, but I don't think it would have really done nearly as much as just opening the program and being lost and confused for months at a time. Gotta embrace the being lost and confused stage of learning. It's fine. After you do it enough, you get past it, so... Sometimes you just gotta get started. Okay, so I think I've got most of, at least the top part, of this side bang looking pretty good now. Might turn her hair back on shortly. So we will no longer have just random funny bald spot for out there. Let's see, I think there's still a little bit on the outer edge here, yeah. That just needs to kind of come over. Needs to be covering her eyes a little bit more there. Gotta make her look appropriately ominous. And having just all of these dark spots near her eyes just always makes her look a little bit more ominous in my opinion. Okay, I don't really care further down there for now. I will go further down the strand later. For the time being, I'm just focusing on her roots and where the hair all connects to her head and stuff. Alright, so I will smooth all this out, though. So I think a lot of what was making it look wrong was just that it wasn't properly smoothed out. The computer was doing its best to interpret what I had here and what I had here and put them together in order to get what's up here, and it did its best, but it wasn't very good. Sometimes it's good and works out, but this was not one of those times. So I just gotta straighten out all those vertices myself here. And I swear that I do not remember them being this close together. But, if I need to push things further up and down in order to space them apart correctly again, that is something I can do. We'll see if it's necessary. There we go. Okay, I think that should be covering her eyes a bit more correctly now. Not quite. I just want to pull like the entire thing at the top there. We're just gonna bring this all on over. Yeah, there we go. Let me make sure this is moving about the same amount as their chin. I might have pulled it a little bit too far. Yeah, I think I did. Okay, we bring it back a little. I want it to be moving roughly the same amount as her chin. Because if it's moving further than that, then it'll look like it's just, like, starting to grow over her face. and that's just... That's not what you want out of your hair. Hair is not some scary alien parasite that's just slowly devouring your head. Definitely not the feel I'm going for here. Yeah, there we go. That should be good. Let's go turn the rest of her hair back on. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and fix these parts at the top that were making it hard for me to see where the edge of the side bang here was. We're just gonna go slide those back a little bit. So this way there's not this random light area up through here. This area should definitely be more in shadow. Yeah, there we go. That's looking a bit better. Let me see, do I have all the highlights and stuff that in the right place? Still feels like there's a little spot here that's sticking up a bit too much. This little shadow area right in her hair here has just always been a bit of a weird shape to my eyes for some reason. Yeah, there we go. Okay, time to run some comparisons to the top because I think that it was a bit off. Yeah, I remember when I was working on this the other day that I don't know. I felt like this area was a little bit too high up. I just exaggerated that you'd see a little bit more of this area kind of underneath, a little bit more, when her head is tilted back. But I think I just overdid it a little bit, so I'll rein that effect in a little bit. And that should make some things look a little bit better here. I'm gonna line it up with the upper left, or upper right, excuse me. since I'm pretty sure I have that in a good spot now. And how does it look over here? Yeah, I need to fix it over here too. Over here didn't have it quite as bad though, so not quite as much to fix. Okay, now I can just kind of go in and clean up the last little bits here. This little part of the highlight should be a little further back, and just some small things like that that I kind of want to clean up, and then I'll just, I don't know, go on to the next part of the hair. I feel like, honestly, this upper right turn has been going so much faster than the upper left turn, which I felt like the upper left turn went a lot faster than a lot of my early ones, so I can tell that I'm figuring things out. It's a nice feeling. Just knowing that as I keep going, things will get easier and easier. Alright, and yesterday was the deadline for Path to Nowhere's anniversary art contest, so that was exciting. Looks like the announcement will be announced in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. So, curious to see how I did. I worked pretty hard on the picture, so. My big fear personally is that I made something that was a little bit too weird, but I wanted to have some fun with some, like, super extreme perspective. So I just rolled with it. And I thought that that kind of extreme worm's eye view suited Zero well enough. So, again, I just rolled with it. So I'll be curious to see how it all does. But if nothing else, I am pretty happy with what I put together. Still in the process of learning a couple of new editing tricks so that hopefully I can make better standalone videos in the future too. Let's see here. I was noticing that the highlight through here was moving strangely between the upper right and the right. So I was double checking to see if I thought the upper right was wrong or if it was the right that was wrong. And in this case, I think it was the right that was wrong. You know, it's times like this that I wonder how English had a directional term be be a homonym with a judgment of right and wrong. It's just so bizarre to me. It's like, how did that even happen? How did we have this association with a direction, a relative direction, you know, right in this case, with right isn't correct. I just wonder how they had the same word there. I've never actually looked up the etymology of the words, but languages are funny like that. It makes things very confusing. Okay, so far so good. Just gonna straighten out a tiny little wrinkle right there, and then I think it's time to move on to the next hair. Okie dokie. So I suppose next is going to be up here. That's kind of what brought me down the left side bang rabbit hole to begin with. If I wanted to make sure that this strand was connecting over here correctly. But now I think it's good, so I can just, I don't know, kind of de-wrinkle some of this and make this curve a little bit smoother. And then get the part underneath here. But I think I want to start with just getting that curve a little bit smoother. Right now it's a bit of a mess. So let's get this all cleaned up. Okay. That's looking a little bit better. Still a little bit of crunchiness right through here. So I'll kind of try to bring this in just a little bit. Just to get rid of a few of those last little wrinkles. No, still a little bit wrinkly right through there. It's always a little bit tricky to get rid of all the wrinkles around that curve. Because it kind of wants some of the middle vertices to be in certain places. Okay, but I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's fine. Now let's see. The next important thing to figure out is where all of these textures that exist underneath that strand should go. I moved them around quite a bit. So I just kind of need to get it all in line here. Okay. Okay. I feel like it's working well with everything except the right turn, so I'm gonna figure out how to get it to look right from the left or the right turn's perspective before I worry about lining it up with everything else. Everywhere else just seems considerably less picky. So let's start with the pickiest spot first. Okay, I think this might also be an area where I consult the mesh here and there. So far, it looks like everything is shifting to the right pretty hard. So let's try to get this, you know, I remember when I was making this mesh that I just went back and forth and back and forth. So I'll try to get those triangles going back and forth to be a little bit more even and regular, and I think that'll help a lot. Yeah, I think that actually solved like 90% of it. Now it's just a matter of getting this lighter spot into place here. But that spot is mostly covered up by the little strand of hair that goes over the front bang, so I'm not overly concerned with it. I want to get it just good enough because we do see a little bit of the pink area when even when the strand is on. Something like that. Okay, and there we go. I think that's all lining up nicely now. Let's take a look from the center, all the way up the diagonal here. Is it lining up nicely here? I think I still don't like the curve. I still don't like the curve going across it. Kind of want it to go a little bit more round right through here. Something like that. Which means that I need to adjust the spot underneath here to make sure it actually covers her head. There we go. Do not just want a random hole right there. Yeah. Okay, so I think that curve looks much better now. Now I just kind of have to adjust some of the areas that are kind of affected by the new location of the curve here. Which is right through there. Stuff here just needs to, at least near the top, just needs to be a little bit rounder to compensate for that. I just moved it over a little. There we go. Yeah, it kind of looks like it's draping over her head nicely now. Let's see if the zoomed out view agrees. It no longer has everything just squirming around. Yeah, I think that's much better. In fact, I think I'm gonna do it a little bit more with the right head turn too. It's like it was so good there, let's just do it again. Let's just do it again. Okay. Then we get the underneath part. Slide it on up. There we go. Oh, a little bit more. Missed a spot. Right over here in the corner. And there we go. Now I just go back through and adjust the parts that changed a little bit. And then all will be well, and it'll just, I don't know, I think it looked a little bit nicer to have it curling out a little bit more on the right head turn here. So I do feel like we'd see a little bit more of what's going on underneath here. In this particular angle. There we go. No crunchiness. A little bit of crunchiness. I definitely want to resolve that. Oop, and we got a little spot that needs to be filled in right there too. Definitely don't want to forget those. Just leaving random holes everywhere seems incredibly rude. Somebody might trip and fall in them. Okay, yeah, there we go. That looks better. Let's go take a look from out here. Maybe a little bit too much. Okay. I'm gonna bring it in just a little bit on this angle. But I thought that it looked pretty good on the upper right. I guess we're seeing a little bit more underneath on the upper right. So it makes a little bit of sense. We're just gonna bring this back just a little bit here. Got a little bit of a lump there. Perfect. Yes, indeed. I think that looks pretty good. Actually, I think I can afford to make this part a little bit rounder up here. I was just comparing it to the upward head turn. And I actually think that, at least on the upper right, I don't think this would look good on the right, but for the upper right, just rounding things up out here a little bit more. We're just gonna go super round here. Super, super round. Something like that. Alright, I'm gonna stare at this very intensely for a little while. Figure out if I like it. Because there's a couple of parts that I'm not so sure about. Mostly revolving around the big highlight here. Because I think it's a little bit high up. So I want to bring it down just a little bit here. Yeah. Something like that. You ever have one of those moments where you try to, like, talk and breathe at the same time and your voice doesn't know what's going on? Stuff is trying to go in and stuff is trying to go out and your voice just gets caught in your throat. That's just what happened there. Okay, yep, that's a bit better. And then I think I will actually lower the intensity of this tunnel here on this side. I think it's great over here. But I just want to bring things down just a little bit more over here. Just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That still looks really, really round, so I think it should be okay. Let me see if that looks a little bit nicer here. Oh yeah. Much better. Much, much better indeed. So let's actually do the same thing on the right head turn. Today we're just doing something in the upper right and making me realize, ooh, that would make the right look better too. It's okay. Whatever makes things look good. What's important is that everything moves very nicely at the end. Yeah, there we go. I think that's looking pretty good. So now I will move on to the next strand. We're just gonna keep going. And I don't think there's actually very much to do in the next strand. The next one is just right up here. And I think I've already worked out a lot of what was wrong with that one. And I was just moving some stuff around. Doing all the big picture stuff. I actually think I got most of this in the right place already. I think there's like a little tiny pink line of highlight. And I brought that out just so that it would just barely peek past this strand here. But after some of the changes here, it's hiding behind again. So I'm gonna bring it back out and let that little tiny highlight just peek out right here. I think it does a really good job of dividing up the hair a little bit. When it comes to perspective, I actually think that the most important thing is just determining what is in front and what is in back. A lot of the other shapes and, perspective guidelines and all that stuff can come later. But if you're just learning how to draw, I think your first foray with perspective should just be making it very, very clear which things are in front of other things. I think you'll get a lot of mileage just out of that. Okay, and I'll worry about the rest later. Right now I'm mostly just focusing on the roots. I don't want to get too distracted. So right now what I'm checking is there's a highlight right here, kind of underneath this big one. And I was noticing that when I go over from the top to the top right, it's a little strange. And I'm trying to figure out what the problem is here. Okay, I think before I dig into that, I want that pink area to show a little bit here as well. I did change the strand, so it's probably necessary to make a few smaller edits here and there in order to get just a tiny little pink area to show and separate the hair a little bit more nicely. Yeah, there we go. That should be good. Now I just make this outer shape a little bit nicer. No weird folds and wrinkles. and that should be good. Yeah, that definitely makes going up there look better. Because now these are all lining up better and nothing's sliding around. So now I'm gonna go pay attention to that little highlight there. I think it's okay for it to be a little bit higher relative to the upper turn here, just because of the angle of her chin kind of suggests that her head is going back a little bit. But that's a bit much right now. It's like, if you just look right here, look how much higher it's going there. I do think it's a little bit too much. Okay. Not exactly clear to me whether the top is wrong or the top right is wrong. But I think I will move it down in the top right for now. And I'll see how that looks. Sometimes all you can do is pick a direction and hope for the best. Okay. So I brought it down a little bit, and it seems likely it was that one because I noticed that the vertices were not very evenly spaced. Okay, so we're good there. We're good there. And really, we're good there too, so worked out. Alright, one more strand on the right side here, and then I'll start doing the left. And it's like the easiest one because it's just like in the back behind everything and you barely see any of it. I just want the top part of it here to be a little bit more smooth. It got a little bit crunchy. So shouldn't take any time at all. Yep, there we go. All done. All it needed. Okay. I say all done, but I think I can actually put it in a slightly better spot than it is right now. So we're gonna get the big brush and just move everything a little bit further to the left. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. So now let me do the roots on the left side here. I've already done a lot of it just because I already did the side bang, and that's like the most important one. So the rest is just figuring out the stuff over here. Let's go. It's always nice when I start getting away from the front and center and everything just starts coming into place really, really fast. It's wonderful. This is why I never worry about taking my time on the early steps. Because I know that after a while, it's like everything's just gonna work out. It'll be fine. Just because the later ones really are just so much easier. So much less detailed. And there's just a bit less that I have to worry about. It's like that when I'm drawing too. Just, I'll spend all this time on big focal points. And I'm worried, and I just worry, it's just like, oh no. am I going to finish this in a reasonable amount of time, or if I have a deadline, am I going to finish it fast enough? And the answer is pretty much always yes. Just because I spend so much more time on those front and center spots. The spots where people will be looking the most. And then once those are done, everything just... it just all kind of works out. I really have... I'm looking at this black line here. I'm just like, man, I really had it angled that far down. I don't actually think that's right. I should fix that. Because I think this is actually supposed to be more like up here. I'm kind of surprised I didn't notice that before. I guess that just shows where I was looking. I wasn't looking over there. Okay, yeah, that's much, much better. Now I can start worrying about it up here. Exactly as things should be. So after all, right now I'm working on the upper right head turn. And despite that, I find myself making so many little edits to just like all the other turns. I just think it's funny how that works out. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just because I notice things that I didn't notice before. But nonetheless, I do think it's funny, and it kind of makes me laugh. Alright, I think that should be fine. Not wholly convinced that's correct, but I think it's a reasonable place to start. Let me go look at the other two, because that'll probably give me some clues as to how everything else should be going too. But honestly, it already looks pretty good. It's like I can definitely tell some things got crunchier near the bottom, but on the top, I don't know, I think things are looking pretty alright. Just make sure everything's lining up good, and... yeah, let's see, do I need to make any changes to that? It's like the very, very back hair I think needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Just got a little bit wrinkly, but... what about the part... what about the part in front of that? Yeah, I think it already looks pretty good. A couple of things that I can see that I want to change are pretty minor. Literally just... ta-da! I think that's about the only thing I really want to change. It's like, I guess we'll see if my future self agrees, but at least in terms of what's in the roots, like, that seems pretty okay. Alright, let's do the very, very back here. And... man, if I can get this, that's going to be the entirety of the roots of her hair. After that, I just start going down each strand again. Man, I wasn't expecting to just completely finish it today. That's pretty awesome. Today is a good day. I will bring that into the drawing that I do today. I've been debating on whether or not I want to start another big piece or if I want to just do some doodling for a little while. I think it might be good for me to take one day to do some doodling. But on the other hand, I do need to start getting Christmas gifts ready. I like drawing stuff for people for Christmas. It helps because I have like no money right now. And besides, art is more personal anyway. Alright, I think I'm going to make the very top of this just a little bit rounder for this angle. As always, an excuse to make things a little bit rounder is a good one for me. I just feel like all these round shapes in the hair just makes it look so fluffy, and it makes me happy. The little things can make you happy sometimes. Keep losing track of the layer here, though. There are just a lot of hair layers. It's easy to get lost. Alright, and I think that'll do it for a first pass. It's like... let me see, let me, clean up the little loop here, but otherwise, we'll see what my future self has to say. I'm sure my future self will be much more picky about some of this than I am. But I think this is looking pretty good. And maybe tomorrow I can start just going down each strand and we'll see just how long it takes me to do all that. I'm looking at you, strand from hell. The one that always takes me like 3 days to get through. And it'll be your fault if I'm late. But yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. And so I'll see what my future self thinks and stop things here for today. So thank you all for coming. If you'd like me to take a look at your own creative projects, whether that be art, writing, coding, game design, or any creative pursuit you can think of, feel free to message or add me on the social media platform of your choice, and I'll take a look, maybe leave some comments. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.